Do you regret ever getting involved in...
I didn't have a choice. It got bad when I was about 15 years old because when I did MTV Cribs, the day that I had to go show off that house, my mom and my dad told me, we're getting a divorce, but you still have to go do this. I had to go show off all the stuff my whole life that was going to be.
Disturbing allegations have surfaced regarding Diddy's actions toward Aaron Carter, and the claims appear to have shaken Diddy's legal team, who now seem increasingly convinced of an impending defeat.
Diddy, it's hard for me to truly get invested in what's happening to Liam Payne right now because I haven't gotten over what happened to Nick. Nick's brother, Aaron Carter.
Right.
A lot of people keep forgetting Aaron Carter was begging for help, begging for independent financing, begging for...
Aaron Carter was reported to have drowned in his bathtub back in 2022, but many remain skeptical, questioning how someone could drown under such circumstances. Rumors have swirled for years that Aaron was preparing to expose Diddy's alleged freak-offs nearly 3 years ago, only to be silenced before he could speak out. We'll revisit that theory later. For now, the reckoning appears to be closing in on Diddy, as new witnesses step forward with troubling claims about his alleged crimes.
Of the testimony in the sex trial against Sean Combs ended with a former member of one of Combs' musical groups on the witness stand. Dawn Richard says that she saw Combs attack Cassie Ventura in 2009. Richard is suing Combs in federal court, accusing him of sexual assault and battery. She'll be back on the witness stand on Monday. Richard's civil lawsuit is still pending. Does that impact how these attorneys approach her if they try to color this as some way of I guess, supporting her civil case? How does that difference impact the approach to these witnesses?
I think that can be argued either way. For instance, where the fact that Ms. Ventura's case, her civil case is already settled and the money's already been received, to me, that doesn't count against her. Perhaps it counts to her credibility because she chose to participate in the criminal trial anyway. However, where Ms. Richard is concerned, the fact that she is participating when, frankly, a criminal conviction may harm her ability to recover. It may harm Mr. Combs' ability to have the finances, the funding to be able to pay any recovery. So there are risks either way. I just think that as people are watching, they need to remember trials involve humans and humans are messy. So you don't have any purity tests in terms of your witnesses on the stand and has never done anything wrong, or your defendant is on the stand and has never done anything right. There's a lot going on both sides, and it really is up to the jury to ferret that out as long as they are given the right facts and the proper instructions.
Diddy is facing a wave of serious accusations, with the government alleging he ran a covert operation involved in illegal activities, including transporting individuals across state lines, hiding funds, and using his fame and influence for sinister purposes. He's also been accused of assaulting his ex. Now, the entire nation is watching closely. In just 1 week, a flood of shocking revelations has surfaced. Former employees have spoken out, and both Dawn Richard and Cass's best friend have reportedly taken the stand.
Richard said, "You've met with government prosecutors 8 times over the last year and a half. And over the course of those 8 meetings, you've changed your story at least 4 times when it comes to multiple incidents." And Richard acknowledged that her story has changed. And she said that it's really just about her memory, that she tried to block all of these things out, and that she's been trying to remember in all of these meetings with prosecutors has helped her. But it was not good for her that her story has changed so many times. And then they also doubled down on the fact that she has filed her own civil suit seeking money from Combs.
Chloe, we know Cassie Ventura's former best friend is also testifying today. What has she said so far?
So her name is Carrie Gordon, and when Cassie Ventura was on the stand last week, she talked a lot about this friend of hers that witnessed a lot of the abuse, and that this was someone that she confided in. And Miss Gordon, she's already taken the stand for a few hours. Right now they're on a lunch break, and she's expected to return this afternoon. And she said, "Look, I don't really even want to be here. I was given a subpoena. I'm forced to be here to testify. I haven't spoken to Combs or Miss Ventura since 2018, and that's because Combs..."
The FBI has revealed the evidence seized from Diddy's properties, while his legal team is fighting back with fierce resistance.
The Department of Homeland Security has just confirmed to CNN that federal law enforcement agents have raided properties owned by musician and producer Sean Diddy Combs. Let's bring in CNN security correspondent Josh Campbell and CNN legal analyst Joey Jackson. Josh, let me start with you. What do these raids by federal agents in multiple locations tell you about the seriousness of this investigation?
Yeah, Wolf, a very significant development here, seeing this law enforcement action taking place. I'll point out, just to be clear at the outset, we don't know that Sean Diddy Combs himself is the subject or target of a federal investigation. So it's just worth pointing that out at this hour. But what we do know is that two properties associated with him, we saw the feds descend on those properties. We saw on aerial footage, federal agents both here in the Los Angeles area as well as in Miami at those residences. Now, the Department of Homeland Security, their what's called HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, gave CNN a statement. I'll read you part of that when asked about what this activity is. They say that earlier today, HSI New York executed law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation with assistance from HSI Los Angeles, HSI Miami, and our local law enforcement partners. That is it, confirming that they are conducting what they're deeming law enforcement action, which could indicate search warrants being conducted there, could indicate arrests being conducted. We just don't know at this hour specifically what that law enforcement action is. It is worth pointing out, though, that Combs himself obviously has faced significant legal woes in recent months. I'll give you just the highlights of what actually occurred. In November, he was sued for rape and abuse by a former partner. That lawsuit was then settled very quickly. But in December, he faced sexual assault allegations in a complaint filed in the Southern District of New York. The suit was brought by a woman referred to as Jane Doe, who said that she was 17 at the time when these allegations took place back in 2000.
This trial isn't just about Diddy. It's about the dangerous ways power and wealth can be abused. According to the government, he didn't act alone. Authorities believe he led a network that aided in serious crimes, including drug trafficking, unauthorized transport of individuals, and financial concealment. The case escalated dramatically when federal agents raided his homes in Miami and Los Angeles, seizing hard drives, computers, cash, and even classified documents. This is no minor investigation. Major federal agencies like the FBI, IRS, and Homeland Security are all deeply involved.
Feds had collected, at least in part. We also learned the charges that Diddy faced: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. And again, Diddy's pleaded not guilty and denies those allegations. But this indictment, this OG indictment, which by the way, there's been a couple of superseding ones, adding a couple of charges here and there. Anyway, going back to the holy grail of it all, the original indictment, that's where we learned about what was collected, including all of that lube and baby oil. And all of this leads us straight back to the freak-offs and the civil cases that preceded the federal search warrants and then eventually the indictment. So Cassie, I know I talk about Cassie all the time, but we wouldn't be here were it not for Cassie. And Cassie's lawsuit is the one that first mentioned freak-offs. We heard about them again from Lil Rod. We've seen them in multiple different civil suits now. And additionally, in the federal indictment. And here's how the Fed specifically explained freak-offs, quote, "Freak-offs were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded." Now, they also listed a couple of items that were used during these freak-offs, at least according to the Feds. They said that there were controlled substances used, and this was specifically to allegedly keep the victims obedient and compliant. The Feds also state that during these freak-off situations, recording devices were used. Now, sometimes the people involved in the freak-offs, allegedly, didn't know that they were being recorded. And then other times, Diddy and his team, allegedly, would use these recordings as revenge porn and say, hey, if you come forward and report this to anyone, we've got this really embarrassing video. Why would you do that? So that's an allegation too. The Feds also say that IV fluids were used in all of this, specifically because the people involved in the freak-offs had to recover from physical exertion and...
These aren't just old rumors anymore. These are formal charges now being heard in court, with real lawyers, judges, and witnesses stepping forward. And some of those witnesses are beginning to speak. One unexpected moment during the first week of proceedings was the mention of Aaron Carter's name. The late singer, who passed away in 2022, had previously spoken out about disturbing issues in the music industry. Before his death, Aaron posted videos and tweets claiming that powerful figures were trying to control or intimidate him, and that he felt like he had no control over his own life.
On Twitter, and I see people saying, "You look like you have AIDS, you should go die." I don't understand how I dedicated 22 years of my life to my fans, and now they...
In court, one witness claimed that Aaron Carter had tried to warn people about what was happening behind the scenes. While the lawyers stopped short of directly linking Diddy to Aaron's death, the mysterious circumstances surrounding it have left room for speculation.